My parents said I'd be heartless to evict my brother's newborn. 3 months later, they demanded I give up my master bedroom because babies need more space. Hi everyone! Today's story will blow your mind, but really quick, if you enjoy this content, hit that subscribe button. Channel's been a bit quiet lately, and your support keeps it all going. Let's jump in. Original post. I, 27M, need advice about a family situation that's getting complicated. 3 months ago, my younger brother Tyler, 25M, got his girlfriend Ashley, 23F, pregnant. They'd only been dating for about 6 months, and neither of them was prepared for this. Tyler works part-time at a warehouse while taking community college classes, and Ashley was working as a server at a local restaurant. When Ashley's pregnancy progressed, her living situation became unstable. She'd been sharing a small apartment with 2 roommates, but they weren't comfortable with a baby coming into the picture. My parents, Robert, 56M, and Linda, 54F, immediately went into crisis mode. They've always been the type to help family no matter what, which I usually admire about them. Here's where I come in. 2 years ago, I bought a 3-bedroom house in a decent neighborhood about 20 minutes from my parents. I work as a software developer for a tech company and had saved aggressively for the down payment. The house was my pride and joy. I'd spent months renovating it, turning it into exactly what I wanted. The master bedroom is mine. I use the second bedroom as a home office since I work remotely 3 days a week, and the third bedroom is a guest room. My parents called a family meeting at their house. I should have seen the signs when Mom made my favorite dinner and Dad kept refilling my beer. They started talking about Ashley's situation, how she was 7 months pregnant and about to be homeless. Tyler sat there looking miserable while they laid out how family takes care of family. She just needs somewhere to stay until she and Tyler can get on their feet, Mom said, giving me that look she's perfected over the years. You have that guest room just sitting empty most of the time. I pointed out that Tyler could move in with Ashley somewhere, but apparently, he wasn't ready for that level of commitment. Yes, you read that right. He got her pregnant but wasn't ready to live with her. Dad jumped in to say Tyler was working on himself and needed time to adjust to the idea of fatherhood. The pressure was intense. Mom started talking about how Ashley had no family support, her parents live in another state and aren't in a position to help, how she was all alone, how the stress wasn't good for the baby. Dad mentioned how proud he was that I'd done so well for myself and how this was my chance to give back to the family. I want to be clear, I'm not heartless. The thought of my future niece or nephew potentially being born into homelessness bothered me. So I agreed, but with clear conditions. 1. This was temporary, maximum 6 months. 2. Ashley would contribute $300 per month to help with utilities and groceries. 3. She'd be responsible for her own food and personal items. 4. No overnight guests without asking first. 5. She'd keep the common areas clean. 6. We'd revisit the arrangement after the baby was born. Ashley moved in 2 weeks later. At first, things were okay. She was quiet, kept to herself mostly, and was genuinely grateful. She'd often cook dinner for both of us as a thank you, and we'd sometimes watch Netflix together in the evenings. I started to feel good about helping out. But then the baby stuff started arriving. What began as a few boxes from her baby shower turned into a full nursery setup in the guest room. The garage became storage for strollers, car seats, and boxes of diapers. My parents would drop by with more stuff constantly, a changing table, a rocking chair, a baby bathtub. My organized, minimalist house was being taken over by pastels and baby gear. I mentioned this to my parents, reminding them this was temporary. Mom just patted my hand and said, "Oh honey, babies need so many things. You're doing such a good thing for your family." Tyler, meanwhile, would visit Ashley maybe twice a week. He'd stay for a few hours, usually bringing takeout, then leave. When I asked him about his plans for when the baby came, he'd get defensive and say he was figuring things out, and that I didn't understand the pressure he was under. 2 weeks ago, Ashley went into labor. Tyler was there for the birth, and my parents were over the moon about their first grandchild, a healthy baby girl they named Emma. I sent flowers and a congratulations card, figuring I'd give them space to adjust. That's when everything changed. The baby came home 3 days ago, and my quiet, peaceful house is gone. Emma has her days and nights mixed up, so she's up crying every few hours at night. The thin walls mean I hear everything. Ashley tries to keep her quiet, but you can only do so much with a newborn. My home office is next to the nursery, and working from home has become nearly impossible. During my video calls, you can hear the baby crying in the background. My manager made a joke about my new assistant, but I could tell he wasn't thrilled about the disruption. But the real kicker came yesterday. My parents came over to see the baby and stayed for dinner. As we were eating, Mom casually mentioned how nice it was that Emma had a stable home environment, and how important the first year is for child development. Actually, I said, trying to keep my voice light, we should probably start talking about next steps. The 6-month agreement would have Ashley here until May, but with the baby here now, maybe we should revisit Dash. The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. You're not seriously thinking of putting a newborn baby out on the street? Mom's voice was sharp. Of course not, I said. But Tyler and Ashley need to start making real plans. This was always temporary. Dad set down his fork. Michael, that baby is your niece. Your blood. You have all the space and they have nothing. How can you be so selfish? Tyler, who had been silent until then, finally spoke up. Maybe if you weren't so uptight about your perfect house, you'd realize some things are more important than your home office aesthetic. Ashley started crying, holding Emma closer. I knew this would happen. I told Tyler you'd want us gone as soon as the baby came. I guess we'll just have to figure something out, even if it means. She trailed off, but the implication was clear. My parents immediately went into comfort mode with her, while shooting me disappointed looks. Mom held the baby while Dad assured Ashley that everything would work out, and gave me a pointed look that said I better make it work out. They left shortly after, but not before Mom pulled me aside. I raised you better than this, Michael. That baby deserves stability. You have the means to provide it. Don't be the uncle who turned his back on family when they needed him most. I'm now sitting in my home office at 2 a.m. because the baby is crying again and I can't sleep. I feel like a monster for wanting my house back, but I also feel like I'm being manipulated. I work hard for what I have, and while I wanted to help, I never signed up to be a permanent housing solution for my brother's girlfriend and baby. Tyler still hasn't made any moves to step up. He's not contributing financially, he's not staying nights to help with the baby, and he's not looking for a place for them to live together. But somehow, I'm the bad guy for expecting them to stick to our original agreement? Am I being heartless here? How do I handle this without destroying my relationship with my family, but also without becoming a permanent landlord to my brother's responsibility? Update 1. 2 weeks later. Thank you to everyone who responded to my original post. Your comments ranged from calling me a doormat to suggesting I formally evict Ashley immediately. I've spent the last 2 weeks trying to find a middle ground, and I need to update you on how spectacularly that's failed. First, let me address some common questions from the comments. And no, there's no formal lease agreement. I stupidly thought family didn't need legal documents. Yes, Tyler is the father. That was never in question. Ashley's parents live in Florida. Her mom is on disability and her dad works minimum wage. They can't help financially or with housing. I make good money, around $110,000 per year, but I'm not wealthy. I have a mortgage, student loans, and regular bills like everyone else. Now for the update. After reading your comments, I decided to have a formal sit-down with Tyler. I texted him that we needed to discuss his plans for Ashley and Emma, and he agreed to come over last Sunday afternoon. He showed up an hour late, reeking of weed. When I started talking about timelines and his plans, he immediately got defensive. Bro, why are you putting so much pressure on me? He said. I'm trying to figure things out. Tyler, you have a daughter now. You needed to have things figured out months ago. He launched into a rant about how not everyone had their life together like me, how some people didn't get lucky with good jobs, how I was privileged and didn't understand struggle. I pointed out that we grew up in the same house with the same parents and the same opportunities, but he just rolled his eyes. You were always the golden child, Michael. Mom and Dad worship you and your perfect house and your perfect job. Some of us are still finding ourselves. You're 25, not 15. And you have a baby now. The conversation deteriorated from there. He accused me of trying to control him, I accused him of being irresponsible, and he ended up storming out after yelling that I was, just like Mom and Dad, always judging him. 2 days later, I came home from the office to find my parents' car in the driveway. Inside, Mom was rearranging my living room furniture to make space for a baby swing. Dad was in the garage, building some kind of shelving unit for baby supplies. What are you doing? I asked. Mom barely looked up. Oh, hi honey. We're just helping Ashley make the space more baby-friendly. That coffee table has sharp corners, so dangerous for when Emma starts crawling. Mom, Emma is 2 weeks old. She won't be crawling for months. And even then dash. You can never be too prepared, she said, continuing to push my couch against the wall. I found Dad in the garage, drilling brackets into my wall. My wall. Without asking. Dad, Stop. What are you doing? He paused, looking at me like I was overreacting. Just putting up some shelves for the baby supplies. They were cluttering up your garage floor. Because they're not supposed to be here permanently. Dad set down his drill and gave me the look, the one that used to make me feel like a disappointment as a kid. Michael, we need to talk about your priorities. You have a beautiful home here, plenty of space, and your brother is struggling. Your niece needs stability. Tyler isn't struggling, Dad. He's choosing not to step up. There's a difference. He's young, He's 2 years younger than me. And he was old enough to make a baby, so he's old enough to take care of one. The conversation went nowhere. My parents left, but not before Mom made several passive-aggressive comments about how she hoped I'd reflect on what kind of man I wanted to be. The house situation has gotten worse. Ashley is lovely, don't get me wrong, but living with a newborn is exhausting even when it's not your kid. The baby cries all night, there are dirty bottles in the sink constantly, and the smell of dirty diapers permeates everything despite Ashley's best efforts with the diaper genie. My work is suffering. I've had to mute myself during multiple calls because of crying in the background. My manager pulled me aside yesterday for a check-in about my home situation and whether it was affecting my performance. I assured him it was temporary, but I could see the skepticism in his eyes. The financial burden is increasing too. The $300 Ashley pays doesn't even cover the increase in utilities from constant laundry, the baby bath, and having someone home all day. My grocery bills have doubled, and I'm constantly finding my things used or moved. But the worst part? Tyler posted on Instagram yesterday. Pictures from a weekend trip to Vegas with his buddies. Vegas. While his girlfriend and baby are living in my house because he can't afford to support them. I screenshot everything and sent it to our parents, thinking surely this would open their eyes. Mom's response? Everyone needs to blow off steam sometimes. Being a new father is stressful. I've started looking into tenant laws in my state. Even though there's no lease, Ashley has likely established residency at this point. If I want her out, I might need to go through formal eviction proceedings, which would definitely nuke my relationship with my family. Some of my friends think I should just accept this as my new reality. My best friend James said, "Dude, your parents are never going to take your side on this. Either accept that you're raising your brother's kid or prepare for family warfare." My girlfriend Sarah, who I've been dating for 8 months, has been supportive but is starting to express concerns. She doesn't feel comfortable coming over anymore because there's no privacy and nowhere to relax. We've been spending time at her studio apartment, but that's not a long-term solution. I'm at a crossroads. Do I A. Start formal eviction proceedings and accept that my family will hate me? B. Try to wait it out and hope Tyler eventually steps up. Spoiler alert. He won't. C. Accept that this is my life now and try to make the best of it. D. Sell the house and move somewhere smaller that can't accommodate extra people. I worked so hard for this house. It was my dream, my accomplishment, my space. Now I feel like a stranger in my own home, and the person who should be taking responsibility is in Vegas posting pictures of bottle service. I know I sound bitter. I am bitter. But I'm also tired, frustrated, and feeling incredibly taken advantage of. Any advice on how to proceed without completely destroying my family relationships would be appreciated. Update 2, 6 weeks later. I've been putting off this update because I'm honestly still processing everything that's happened. But I owe you all a follow-up, especially those who've been DMing me for updates. First, the TLDR for those who missed my previous posts. My brother got his girlfriend pregnant, my parents guilt me into letting her move into my guest room temporarily, and then acted shocked when I expected them to leave after the baby was born. It's been escalating since then. So here's what's happened in the last 6 weeks. After my last post, I decided to take the advice of trying one more formal conversation with everyone involved. I invited my parents, Tyler, and Ashley to a family meeting at my house. I prepared talking points, printed out resources for affordable housing in our area, and even found several programs specifically designed to help young parents. Tyler didn't show up. He texted Ashley saying he had to pick up an extra shift at work. I later found out through a mutual friend that he was at a sports bar watching the game. The meeting went about as well as you'd expect. I presented my research, explained that while I wanted to help, this situation wasn't sustainable. Ashley cried. My parents acted like I was presenting a plan to throw Emma into the wilderness to be raised by wolves. 6 months, I said firmly. That was our original agreement. It's already been 4. I'm giving you an extra 3 months on top of that to figure things out. By July, you need to have alternative housing arranged. Mom stood up so fast she knocked over her coffee cup. 7 months. You're giving a baby 7 months notice like she's a tenant. Ashley is a tenant, Mom. Emma is her daughter. They're a package deal, and they need their own place. Dad tried the guilt angle. What happened to you, Michael? You used to have compassion. Now it's all timelines and agreements. This is family. Tyler is family too, I shot back. Where's he in all this? Why isn't anyone pressuring him to provide for his child? Tyler is doing his best, Mom said, the same excuse she's been making for him his whole life. His best included Vegas last month and a new gaming system he posted about on Facebook. Seems like he's doing fine to me. The meeting ended with my parents storming out and Ashley locking herself in the guest room with Emma. I could hear her on the phone with Tyler, crying about how his family hated her. Things got progressively worse from there. My parents started what I can only describe as a Cold War. They'd stop by when I was at work, Ashley would let them in, and continue baby-proofing my house. I came home to find cabinet locks installed, electrical outlet covers everywhere, and, I kid you not, a baby gate at the top of my stairs. My stairs. In my house. They also started a propaganda campaign with extended family. I started getting calls from aunts and uncles I barely speak to, all concerned about my heartlessness toward baby Emma. My cousin Jennifer, who I've always been close with, texted me, "I heard you're evicting a newborn." WTF, Mike. I tried explaining my side to anyone who'd listen, but the narrative was already set. I was the successful, selfish older brother who wouldn't help family in need. The breaking point came 3 weeks ago. I woke up on a Saturday morning to voices in my kitchen. Not just Ashley and the baby, multiple voices. I came downstairs to find my parents, Tyler, Ashley, and 2 people I'd never seen before sitting around my kitchen table, having breakfast. "Oh good, you're up," Mom said, like this was normal. "This is Brad and Diane from our church. They're marriage counselors who specialize in young families." I stood there in my boxers and t-shirt, looking at 6 people in my kitchen, while a baby cried in the background. "What the hell is happening?" "Language," Mom chided. "We're having an intervention. You've been so hostile lately, we thought you needed help processing your feelings about the baby." "My feelings about the baby? Are you serious right now?" Brad, or maybe it was Diane, started talking about the importance of family bonds and how children thrive in multi-generational homes. I cut them off. Everyone out. Except Ashley, since she unfortunately lives here. "Michael Dash," Dad started. "Out. This is my house. You don't get to ambush me with interventions in my house." Tyler, who had been silent, finally piped up. "Bro, you need to chill. We're trying to help you." "Help me. Help me. I was losing it. You knocked up your girlfriend, refused to support her, dump her in my house, and somehow I need help?" "I'm not ready to be a full-time dad," he said, like that was a valid excuse. "Then you should have worn a condom," I snapped. Everyone gasped like I'd said something horrific. Brad and Diane quickly excused themselves. My parents followed, but not before Mom delivered her parting shot. "I don't even recognize you anymore, Michael." That night, I made a decision. I called my company's HR department and asked about remote work options from other locations. Turns out, as long as I'm in the same time zone, they don't care where I work from. I also called a real estate agent. I listed my house 2 weeks ago. It's a seller's market, and I got multiple offers within days. I accepted one that was $30,000 over asking, with a 45-day close. I haven't told my family yet. Ashley doesn't know. I've been looking at condos in another city about 3 hours away, close enough to visit if I want to, far enough that no one will drop by unannounced. But here's where things get really crazy. Yesterday, Ashley approached me after putting Emma down for a nap. She looked nervous, fidgeting with her hands. "Michael, can we talk?" I tensed, expecting another guilt trip or manipulation. Instead, she surprised me. "I know you're selling the house." My heart stopped. "How dash?" "I saw the realtor's card on your desk. And you've been packing things in your office." I waited for the tears, the guilt trip, the phone call to my parents. Instead, she sat down across from me. "I don't blame you," she said quietly. "This whole situation is fucked up. I know that. I'm grateful for what you've done, but I know it's not fair to you." We talked for over an hour, the first real conversation we'd had since she moved in. She told me how Tyler had promised her they'd get their own place before the baby came, how he'd been stringing her along with excuses and promises. How my parents enabled him by making everyone else responsible for his choices. "I love him," she said, "but I don't think he's ever going to grow up. Your parents will always bail him out, and he knows it. She asked how long she had before I moved. I told her about the 45-day close, expecting panic. Instead, she nodded. My cousin in Texas has been offering to let me stay with her. She has a kid too, and we could help each other out. I've been thinking about it, but felt guilty leaving since Tyler's here. You should go, I told her. Fresh start. Away from this dysfunction. She smiled sadly. Your parents are going to flip when they find out we're both leaving. Probably. But that's not our problem anymore. We agreed she'd start making arrangements to move to Texas. I offered to help with moving costs, which she gratefully accepted. Of course, the universe couldn't let things be that simple. This morning, Tyler showed up unannounced. He let himself in with a spare key my parents must have given him. I never gave him one. Dude, we need to talk, he said, barging into my home office. About what, Tyler? Ashley's talking crazy about moving to Texas. You need to talk sense into her. The audacity floored me. Why would I do that? Because Emma needs her father. Then maybe her father should start acting like one. He went off about how I was poisoning Ashley against him, how I was breaking up his family, how this was all my fault. I let him rant until he ran out of steam. Are you done? I asked. Fuck you, Mike. Get out of my house. And leave the key. He threw the key on my desk and stormed out, but not before delivering his own parting shot. When Mom and Dad find out about this, you're dead to this family. So that's where things stand. The house closes in 38 days. Ashley is making plans to move to Texas. Tyler is probably running to our parents as I type this. And I'm looking forward to a fresh start in a new city where my family can't ambush me with interventions over breakfast. I know some of you will say I'm running away from my problems. Maybe I am. But sometimes, when your family refuses to respect your boundaries, distance is the only solution. I'll update once more after the move, but honestly, I'm looking forward to this chapter of my life being over. I've learned a lot about boundaries, family manipulation, and the importance of legal agreements, even with family. Especially with family. To those of you in similar situations, you're not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm, even if those people share your DNA. Final update, 3 months later. Hey everyone! I know it's been a while since my last update, and I've gotten a lot of DMs asking how things turned out. I'm finally in a place, literally and emotionally, where I can share the conclusion to this saga. When I last posted, I had just listed my house for sale and Ashley was making plans to move to Texas with Emma. Tyler had stormed out after learning about our plans, and I was bracing for the inevitable family explosion. I didn't have to wait long. That evening, my phone started blowing up. Calls, texts, voicemails, my parents, Tyler, aunts, uncles, cousins, family members I hadn't spoken to in years. I turned off my phone and went to bed. The next morning, I had 47 missed calls and over 100 text messages. The doorbell rang at 7 a.m. Then 7:15. Then 7:30. I looked out my bedroom window to see my parents' car in the driveway and my mom standing on the porch. I didn't answer. They came back that evening with Tyler. I watched from my security camera app as they tried their keys, which I'd changed the locks that afternoon, rang the doorbell repeatedly, and eventually left after Mom slipped a note under the door. The note was exactly what you'd expect. Michael, we're devastated by your selfishness. Selling your house to abandon your family is a new low, even for you. We raised you better than this. You're breaking our hearts and destroying Emma's chance at a stable home. We pray you'll come to your senses. Mom and Dad. I texted them once, I'm an adult making decisions about my own property. Please respect my privacy. The response was immediate and harsh. Dad texted, you're a disappointment. Mom sent, I hope you can live with yourself knowing you made a baby homeless. Tyler's was the most colorful, you're not my brother anymore. Dead to me. The next few weeks were a blur of packing, dealing with a house sale, and dodging my family's increasingly desperate attempts to save me from myself, Mom's words, not mine. The extinction burst, thank you to the Redditor who taught me that term, was spectacular. They called my employer trying to convince them I was having a mental health crisis. They contacted my real estate agent claiming the house sale was fraudulent. They showed up at my girlfriend Sarah's apartment looking for me. They started a prayer chain at their church for my lost soul. They convinced my elderly grandmother to call me crying about family unity. The grandmother call almost broke me. She's the sweetest woman, and hearing her cry about how I was tearing the family apart made me question everything. But then she said something that snapped me back to reality. Your mother says you're jealous of Tyler for having a baby. Jealous? Of Tyler? For having a baby he won't take care of. That's the narrative they created to explain my irrational behavior. Meanwhile, Ashley was having her own family drama. When Tyler found out she was really planning to move to Texas, he suddenly became Father of the Year, for about 48 hours. He showed up with flowers, promised to get his own apartment, swore he'd step up. Ashley, to her credit, didn't fall for it. He literally asked to borrow money for gas in the same conversation where he promised to support us, she told me. I'm done. She moved out 2 weeks before my closing date. The morning she left, we had coffee together while Emma slept. I'm sorry this all happened, she said. I never meant for it to go this far. I know. And I'm glad you're getting a fresh start. She hugged me before leaving. Your family doesn't deserve you, Michael. Don't let them make you feel guilty for having boundaries. With Ashley gone, my parents shifted into overdrive. They now had the narrative that I'd driven away both Ashley and Emma. Mom showed up at my work, security had to escort her out. Dad left voicemails about how I'd ruined Tyler's chance at being a father. The day before closing, they played their final card. They offered to buy my house for the full asking price if I'd let Tyler move in and they'd manage it for him. I declined. The closing went smoothly despite my family's attempts to interfere. I moved into a nice 2-bedroom condo in a city 3 hours away. It's smaller than my house, but perfect for me. There's a gym in the building, a coffee shop on the corner, and, best of all, no family drama. I blocked most of my family on everything except email, in case of actual emergencies. I stayed in touch with my cousin Jennifer, who understood my side after hearing the full story. They've always babied Tyler, she told me. Remember when he crashed 3 cars in high school and they kept buying him new ones? This is just the adult version. Through Jennifer, I've gotten some updates. Tyler is back living with our parents. He's working part-time at a vape shop and spending most of his time gaming. He posts on social media about how Ashley stole his daughter. And my parents are now raising money through their church to hire a lawyer to seek grandparent rights in Texas. They tell everyone I had a breakdown and abandoned the family. Ashley, from what I can see on social media, is thriving in Texas. She's working at a dental office, Emma is in daycare, and she seems genuinely happy. She sent me a Christmas card thanking me again for everything and letting me know they're doing well. As for me, I'm in therapy working through the guilt and manipulation. My therapist says I'm a textbook case of the responsible child in a dysfunctional family system. I'm learning about boundaries, enmeshment, and how being the successful one doesn't mean I have to compensate for everyone else's failures. Sarah and I are still together. She's been incredibly supportive through all of this and even helped me decorate my new place. We're taking a weekend trip next month, something I couldn't have done when my house was baby central. My work performance has improved dramatically without the constant chaos. I even got promoted last month, something my manager said was long overdue, but had been questionable when my performance was suffering. Do I have regrets? Sometimes. I miss the idea of family, the fantasy of supportive, reasonable people who respect each other. But that's not the family I have. The family I have expects me to subsidize Tyler's irresponsibility indefinitely while being grateful for the opportunity. I've learned some hard truths. 1. Family isn't a free pass to violate boundaries. 2. You can't help someone who won't help themselves. 3. Enabling one person often means sacrificing another. 4. Sometimes love means letting people face the consequences of their choices. 5. Your mental health and well-being matter just as much as anyone else's. To those who said I was too harsh, you didn't live it. You didn't have your sanctuary turned into someone else's nursery. You didn't watch your brother party while you paid for his responsibilities. You didn't have your parents gaslight you into thinking basic boundaries were selfish. To those who said I should have kicked everyone out immediately, you were right. I waited too long, hoping for reasonableness that was never coming. To those in similar situations, get everything in writing. Set clear boundaries from day one. And remember, helping family doesn't mean enabling them. I know this isn't the update some of you hoped for. There's no reconciliation, no moment where my family realizes they were wrong, no happy ending where Tyler steps up and becomes a great dad. Real life doesn't usually work that way. But I'm at peace. I have my own space, my relationship is stronger, my career is thriving, and I'm learning to set healthy boundaries. That's its own kind of happy ending. I won't be updating again, it's time to close this chapter. Thank you all for your support, advice, and validation. You helped a stranger on the internet realize he wasn't crazy for wanting basic respect in his own home. And Tyler, if you somehow read this, grow up, dude. Your daughter deserves better. Edit. Since several people have asked. Yes, the house sale was completely legal. I owned it outright, no one else was on the deed. Ashley and I exchanged contact info and occasionally text. She's doing great and Emma is healthy and happy. I'm in individual therapy, not family therapy. My therapist agrees that family therapy requires all parties to want change. The grandparent rights thing probably won't go anywhere. Texas has strict requirements they don't meet. I kept all the documentation of Tyler's lack of support in case Ashley ever needs it for custody issues. Yes, I'm aware I probably could have handled some things better. Hindsight is 20/20. And no, I don't regret selling the house. It was the nuclear option, but sometimes that's what it takes. Take care, everyone. Thanks for following this journey with me.